Open up for questions. What are you looking for the guys to do at this point of development, at this point in the offseason? What are you looking for the guys to do?
Well, really right now it's just about really learning the system, just trying to get guys acclimated, understanding what Coach Graham is trying to teach the guys, and just getting them comfortable playing the defense and trying to get some technical things improved.
Hey Frank, it's Tashawn Reed from The Athletic. I know last year was your first time being a full-time defensive line coach in the NFL. What led this offseason kind of to you making the transition over coming with the Raiders?
What led to it?
Yeah.
Just opportunity. In this profession, it's about who you could connect with. Anytime you can come to a storied program like the Las Vegas Raiders and the Raider name, it's something that could really help you as an individual and something that when you get a chance to do, you just kind of have to jump at it and try to take advantage of it.
Coach, to be able to step in and have a Max Crosby and a Chandler Jones, how much does that help you sleep at night knowing you already got that to a couple of bookends?
Those are really two talented players, and what's even better is they're better people. And so what you get from those guys, they offer great leadership to the young guys, players trying to figure out what it means to be a pro. So having them in the locker room and in the meeting room every single day, offering wisdom, offering advice, offering a physical example to the young players has been something that's special.
Frank, Willie Ramirez with the Associated Press. That being said, a lot of times you hear coaches say they can learn a lot from the veteran players as much as players can learn. What have you learned just in the short time from Chandler Jones and that you're seeing him in dealing with the players and the coaching staff?
As a former player, you have to remember in the NFL that we're coworkers. And so for me, I always like to pick the brain of someone who has 100-plus sacks because that's something I never did in my own career. So anytime you can get some lessons from the way they see the game, coaching points, film study points, anything to help those guys, young guys, acclimate to the game faster, I'm all ears. I have no ego in this game. I'm just trying to help the Raiders win football games.
Frank, how much, when it comes to Chandler, and it's been early obviously, but how much does he still have left in the tank?
This, like I said, he's a true professional, and if you guys have been out there, you see how hard he's running the ball. He's leading by example with this effort, and I think that's the thing that is a testament to his longevity and his career and why he's been so successful for this long amount of time.
Coach Levi versus Las Vegas Raiders. Going through the draft evaluation process, what were some of the things that you liked when you saw Neil Farrell and Matthew Butler that led to those picks?
When you're trying to evaluate, there's a lot of guys you're going through, but ultimately for those guys, they're big bodies, they're strong bodies, and they're athletic bodies. And so when you're evaluating defensive linemen in this scheme, all you're really trying to get is guys that can play the run well, press the quarterback, collapse the pocket, and those guys provide that kind of value.
Frank Okam with the Review Journal. This is a 4-3 team the last 3 or 4 years, making the transition to a 3-4. Is that a big challenge, or do we make a little bit too much out of that, would you say?
Listening and talking to Coach Graham, his philosophy, this league really is a sub-defense. And so all that really matters is if you got some guys that can rush the passer and some guys that can stop the run. And so we'll be doing a lot of different things up front and just trying to find the best matchups for us to be successful.
Following up specifically on that, how much does like a Max Crosby role change in this? Obviously his role is to get after the passer, or that's what he wants to do, but the different looks, the different lineups, how will he kind of adjust what he does?
That's really probably more game plan and probably closer when you get to the season. But as for right now, we're just trying to make sure the guys know as many positions as possible and play different techniques as well as they possibly can right now in the spring. That's really what we're trying to get done right now.
Frank, you guys added a lot of defensive tackles this offseason between the draft and free agency. What's the competition out there been like so far?
It's been great. Honestly, that's the thing that kind of drives the NFL. Is like you got to earn your right to have your job and when the regular season starts. And so obviously when you're looking whether you got the young guys or some veterans in the room, that they can fill the numbers in the room and know it's not going to be like that when we get to the final 53. So that makes the meetings go a little bit better, the focus better, and the competition in practice even better. And that's really what you're looking for each and every day.
Frank, when you're getting ready to come, like you said, a program like the Raiders, do you reach out to other guys that have been here, like maybe even a college teammate like Michael Huff, to see what this organization is all about?
Well, yeah. Obviously I got to play against this organization back in the day, and you kind of know what that feels like. But anytime, even from my short time here, this is a first-class organization. They do things the right way here, and I think that starts from the leadership all the way down. So the leadership and the head coach, the message and the image that Coach McDaniels wants to put out, the way Coach Graham wants to run his defense and styles, it's easier to fall in line here and just get the job done. And we're just trying to find ways to win some football games.
What's the adjustment been like to Las Vegas for you?
The heat, that was, it's dry. I'm from Texas, so I'm used to the humidity, but the dryness of the heat has been a huge adjustment, not sweating. And then for me, stepping on the scale, and all of a sudden you dropped about 10 pounds in one practice. So that's a little bit of adjustment. Got to stay hydrated, as Denzel always says, so that's for real out here.
Frank, Josh and Patrick have talked about Cleve Farrell, maybe using him a little bit differently than he has in the past. Maybe that'll be better for him. From what you've seen so far of him, A, has he been receptive to that, and B, is there a niche somewhere for him in this?
You know, when you have somebody as big and athletic as him, all you're really trying to do is get him confident as possible so he can play as many positions as possible. And what I've seen so far from the spring is that he's been receptive, he's been all ears, and he's been eager, and he's been playing with really great effort. And that's really where we're just trying to establish the foundation.
You guys all set? Okay, thank you, everyone.
Thanks.
Coach, thank you.
Thank you.
Carmen Bricillo with the Las Vegas Review-Journal. This was an offensive line last year that was under a lot of transition, you know, making some trades of some veteran players before the season started, and there was injuries and guys kind of mixed matching a little bit. How important is it just to find those 5 guys and just develop some cohesion and some chemistry with that group?
I'd say, Vinny, that although cohesion is important, you got to extend it beyond 5 guys. I mean, the reality of the NFL season now, it's preseason games 4 this year, plus 17 games, plus whatever else hopefully you can get to. So in that regard, you're going to play more than just 5 guys. So you've got to develop that by moving guys around and challenging guys and asking them to do more. And whether that's by technique or assignment, it's something that I think at the position you'll see us always striving to get more than just 5, really.
I know it's early, but Alex Leatherwood at right tackle looks like he's getting a lot of snaps over there. Is that kind of where he's sliding in right now?
I think to that same regard, Vinny, I mean, following up to the first question, I mean, Alex, like all the guys, have been playing a bunch of positions. So, I mean, it's a matter right now truly of as a group, us building some cohesion, understanding the system. We're not there yet. And just working to develop some core fundamentals that might be a little different, some different teaches that we're asking them to do. So.
Hey Carmen, this is Chandler Reed from The Athletic. You know, last year was your first year as a full-time offensive line coach in the NFL. What did you learn from that experience that will help you carrying over into this year with the Raiders?
Yeah, I mean, I would say, obviously, working alongside, as Frank had alluded to as well, you really don't want to try to be a command-style coach in the NFL. You've got some veterans that have been doing it a long time. The last place I was at, we had a number of guys that had been in the system for 5 to 8 years. So you're absolutely going to rely, you don't be afraid to tell a player, I don't know, but I'll find out. Or, hey, Tommy, let's try to do it like this. My background, I taught him about throwing the spaghetti against the wall, see if it sticks, I mean, we're going to try to figure something out here. So we'll be more of a collective. It's the we, not just me. I kind of take that approach to it. My time anywhere, though, I mean, it's about giving your players answers, so whether it's high school, college, or professionals, which I've been blessed to do all 3. It's about giving your players answers when the time comes.
Coach Hondo Carpenter with Sports Illustrated. Can you tell us, now that you've got the guys on the field, maybe what's been a pleasant surprise?
I think this is a group that enjoys each other and enjoys coming to work. I mean, truly. And we're a group in there. When the door shuts, there's not a lot of ego. We're able to say, I don't understand this, or I need help with that. It's a collective in the fact that although it's professional sports, and we know that not everybody in the room is going to be here come, September. But nevertheless, they're willing to work with one another, coach one another, challenge one another. And then when they step on the field, they work. I mean, our individuals are no joke. And I know that was a standard they had here before, and they haven't proven me wrong thus far. It's been a pleasure.
When games start, and people say the Las Vegas Raiders offensive line, what do you want people to think about when they think?
Smart, tough, play their best football when it counts the most. Smart, tough, play their best football when it counts the most. It's something that, as we've kind of gotten the basics of the system kind of installed, and now we're kind of rehashing some of it. They're hearing it a second and third time. I've had an opportunity, I think, to start challenging on some of those things of what you want your resume to be. When you put the film out there, what's your resume? And so we're starting to move towards that a little bit. But
Carmen, how tough or easy is it to implement Josh's vision for an offense into an offensive line that really has no experience with it anyway?
it's funny, you smile because we had this conversation today as a group, and Coach was talking about it. He can boil it down to its simplest terms. And it seems so simple, but yet nevertheless it's really not, as far as some of the things that we're emphasizing right now. It can be as complex as you want it in a good way. And I think that's a challenge to the guys a little bit. And they've enjoyed the challenge. They've definitely responded to it. You know, it's not rainbows and unicorns. I mean, we've got a lot of things, some core fundamental things that we got to get better at. But nevertheless, You know, it's a day to day. I mean, you got to work at it.
Among your offensive line group, you have a lot of guys that, you know, have either played multiple positions in the past or you have them listed as multiple positions on the roster. Why was that versatility such a key point of emphasis this offseason?
I mean, I think back to Vinny's original question, your injuries are going to occur, you know, and now, you know, depending upon how they'll continue on with the rules, are you going to be able to address 7 or is it 8 as a, you know, as a COVID? I don't even know how those rules have impacted us, but if you're going to go to a game typically with 7 offensive linemen dressed, you're going to have to be able to play multiple positions. You know, if you're only going to play one position, you better be one of the best at it.
Is there a fine line, when it comes to a rookie, let's say Dylan Parham, saw him taking some snaps at center today. Does he tell you sometimes and how he's talking, how he's responding when it's time to throw some more on his plate, whether it's at guard or at center, or is that something that you're just gonna throw him in there and see how he responds?
You know, it's funny, my wife and I just had a 6-month-old and she's talking about already teaching her how to swim, you know, she's literally going to do that. And it's kind of like, we're just going to throw you in the deep end a little bit and we're going to make you swim. And I think that's a part of it. And it's a shock system to it. And I think the challenge of it, just the system that, you know, coach is never going to be satisfied. And that transcends all the way down to, you know, if you're just going to teach them and just go slowly, then they're just going to plateau. Like, go with the shock system and let's get after it, you know, see what they can assimilate now.
Adam Hill from the Review Journal. You mentioned where you were before earlier. I don't know if that was intentional. It seemed like it was. But how much are you guys taking? A lot of you guys came from New England. So how much are you taking from that philosophy? How much are you kind of setting out on your own to establish your own thing?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, New England is, you know, first job in the NFL, and I have an opportunity to work for Coach Belichick and then work underneath Dante Scarnecchia. I mean, those are two greats at what they do. I'd be ignorant not to say that hasn't influenced me greatly. My time in college, my time in high school, you know, I'm learning life lessons from a lot of these coaches that I've been with. But I think it probably is deliberate in the fact that how excited we are to be here, a part of this storied franchise, and truly, you know, I'm definitely a person that's going to be in the moment, and my feet right now are in Las Vegas. We couldn't be happier about it.
Coach Q Myers, Raider Nation Radio 920. Going back to Dylan Parham, you mentioned just kind of throwing him in the deep end. How is he taking to that? What has he shown you so far?
You know, he's really good. You had asked before the question about evaluating guys, and I mean, Dylan, I definitely is one of those guys that I think is important for an offensive lineman to be smart, tough, and athletic enough. You know, I mean, listen, it starts with smart. You know, you're going to play multiple positions, right side, left side, not center to guard to tackle, whatever it may be. You know, you have to be smart and to be able to do that. Tough, because it's not an easy job, and it's thankless. You know, I mean, it is what it is. And then just do the athletic part. I mean, I'd like to think I'm smart and tough, but I'm definitely not athletic enough to play. So, but we asked Dylan to do a lot of things, and like all the guys, you know, they're just continuing each day to try to get better. So.
What have your early impressions been of Alex Leatherwood? You know, you had a rookie year, played a lot.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a testament to him and what he's about. You know, I would say just like the rest of the guys, truly, Vinny, it's a matter of just getting to know him, them getting to know me. I mean, it's definitely a part of that, you know. So in that regard, we're all kind of working together. But I know, like the rest of the guys, he's a worker. He cares. He's got a high standard for himself, just like the other guys, and that's a good thing.
Talk about having a young family. How have they kind of taken to Las Vegas?
You know, it was great. My wife's a trooper, Megan. We got a house already, so we're kind of settled. She unboxed that. I don't think we want to see cardboard for some time. And then, of course, we've got a 6-month-old that our daughter's keeping her plenty busy. But thus far, we've been enjoying it. We haven't had an opportunity to see a whole lot. She's been traveling back and forth a little bit, but thus far, we're really excited and enjoying our time here.
Coach, you're a teacher. You do a lot of teaching.
Thank you.
I'm curious how you have found them to be assimilating, grasping in the classroom as much as on the field.
Yeah, you know, it's difficult because, again, we put so much in to talk to kind of, you know, you can be, again, in that deep end with how much volume you're putting in. It's nice now that the guys, we're hearing it a second or a third time, so maybe it's now starting to see it through a different lens, or you hear some aha moments. And I am a teacher. My mother was an English teacher, and I try to kind of come from that approach because, you know, it is definitely the classroom aspect of it. But then the challenge of it as well is we're asking them to do some different techniques as well. And in our position, it's not necessarily natural. I mean, just, you know, typically you don't spend time in that athletic position until you start playing offensive line. So we're making even a guy, you know, some of the other veterans that are kind of set in their ways change some of their techniques. So there's muscle memory that we're trying to train as well. So it just takes a little bit of time with that.
You guys all set? Okay.
Thank you, guys.
Chandler, you've been at this a little while, but when it gets to this time of year, OTAs, off-season program, do you ever lose sight of how important this time of year is for a team and the steps that you guys are taking?
I don't think I personally ever lose sight of the importance of the OTAs, the minicamp, the off-season program. I think that this time now is very advantageous for any team because this is the time that you get a jump, you get the edge. Guys are starting to get familiar with their teammates, and for us to have a new staff and a lot of new players, I think that's very important. You don't want to wait until fall, for me to be calling someone's name and not knowing their number. I think this is the time to do it now. So I think it's a huge advantage. It's advantageous for us for sure. So it's important for us to be here.
Chandler, both, Frank, Josh, they talked about your character off the field. You come from a small town. I visited Binghamton and Endicott area. It's known for Speedy Fest, Orchard Parks.
Yeah.
Does that small town help you sort of stay focused on your love for the game, but also keep that humble side of you?
Yeah, sure. There was a lot of things from that town. It's funny that you brought up Speedies because I made Speedies the other day, chicken Speedies. But we were known for our chicken Speedies.
Lupos?
Yes, Lupo's chicken Speedies. But what was the question again? I'm sorry, I just got off the field. Yeah, I was thinking about Speedies.
I
I'm
don't know
like,
about Speedy Fest.
yeah, right.
Speedy Fest is big, right?
Right.
Hot air balloons. Just growing up in a small town,
Yeah.
Josh had talked about your character, just very humble and a lot of humility.
Yeah.
Growing up in a small town like that, did that help sort of keep you grounded and bring that humility on and sort of?
Yeah, of course. Being humble is something that I was definitely raised on, and also the culture from where I was from. But just this opportunity, and I say it all the time, that I was that kid that said, hey, when I grow up, I want to be an NFL football player. So now that I'm 11 years in, 10 years in, I understand the severity of this job, but this opportunity that I have, it's a blessing to be playing this long. But to have your dream job every day, it's very humbling, and it's something that you want to do well and do at a high level. So that's what I take pride in. Like I said before, being consistent, but just enjoying the work, enjoying football. So.
What's it been like working with Coach Okam so far, now that you got the chance to be around him and work with him a little bit?
One more time, sorry.
So what's it been like working with
Yeah, I need that for sure.
Coach Frank Okam so far, now that you had the chance to spend a few practices with him and meetings with him?
Yeah, Coach Frank is very football smart, and that's a very cliche thing to say, but the terminology that he uses, I feel like you get a lot of guys that they coach and don't play that position, and it's very normal in this league. But Frank, obviously, he had some success, and he played defensive line. So the way that he coaches, I love because he knows how to say the right things to certain players because he's been in these situations before.
Chandler, you told me at your first press conference that you wanted to come in and be humble and earn the right to lead. Well, you've got that now. These guys are following you. Are you surprised at how quick all these guys begin to follow you, or does the resume just speak for itself?
And it's funny that you're saying that because this is my first time hearing about, guys are following and leading. But that's just how I approach my job. And, if guys are following, that's a good thing. Like I said before, hey, Chandler's running to the ball. Why not I run? Why can't I run to the ball? So I'm very admired by that guys are leading. But like I said, this isn't over yet. And like I said, the season hasn't started. So hopefully I can keep doing that. And, hopefully they can be contagious throughout the team.
Chandler, it's easy when you think about the Raiders' defensive line to think Chandler Jones and Max Crosby, but there's a whole bunch of other guys in that room as well. Your first impressions of the group, the defensive line group?
What I like about the group that we have is that everyone wants to learn. And there isn't any players that are saying, oh, I got this, or oh, I did this before. Everyone's like, hey, what's that? Or, hey, can you do that again? And if you get a room full of guys that are like that, the sky's the limit. And like I said, I'm not here to make guarantees, but that's a very good thing to have on a team. And that just shows that everyone loves football. You want to get better. You want to work on your craft. So we have a room or a team full of guys that want to learn, and we have coaches that want to coach. So it's fun. It's fun every day.
Frank
What pushes a guy with 107 career sacks daily in a championship? Like, what pushes you each morning?
Well, not just about the sacks, maybe winning more. 108 sacks, the next one. So Yeah, oh, so 108.5? Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Frank said that it's impressive to sit, to watch you, especially during OT, just in warm-ups and the agility. How much do you credit that back to Endicott in your days of wrestling?
Yeah, just growing up. Like I said, I was the youngest of three brothers, and it was very competitive growing up, and that leads to a lot of my success today. I mean, who can eat their food the fastest? Who can run to the refrigerator the fastest? I was the youngest, so I was always losing, but it made me better. And like just growing up, just that work ethic was just instilled at an early age, and I think it's just second nature.
Chandler, you mentioned that you were excited to be able to play across from Max Crosby.
Yeah.
How much are you guys gonna anticipate pushing each other?
Oh, he's already been pushing me, and it's insane almost to this point where I am in my career. Being 11 years in, or going into my 11th season. There's been a few times in this camp now where I see Max, running to the next drill, and I'm kind of like, I gotta go faster. Look at Max; he's already over there, he's younger than me, but like I said, he's pushed me in that sense already. So I'm excited to rush him. Like he was a huge reason why I came to Las Vegas too. It's one of the main reasons why I came to play with him. So I get giddy even talking about him. So he's probably out there waiting for me now. That's my boy.
Is he the sort of player in person that you thought he would be? Are you seeing that?
Yeah, and it's not that I thought he would be someone, because I knew Max prior to coming to the team. We used to speak. I would text him and talk about pass rush for years before coming here. So the opportunity for us to be on the same team is just surreal.
Are you experiencing any of that new boss, new employer thing that you haven't had, that kind of anxiety and maybe an anxiousness to want to prove yourself?
I won't use the word prove myself. And as far as anxiety, yeah, of course. I mean, I get butterflies before practice today. I get butterflies every day, and that just shows that I love the game. I love the sport. I want to do well. And like I said, it's a new team. There's new coaches, there's new scouts, there's a new staff. Like I said, I know a lot of guys from the staff, but I don't want to go in front of these guys and say, hey, you know what I can do. You saw me a few years ago, or you saw me on ESPN. You saw me 2019, I had 19 sacks. I mean, what have you done for me lately? And what can you do for me now? And I know that, I understand that. So I take pride in my work, and I come to work every day with a smile on my face, but also to perfect my craft.
Chandler, I know your focus right now is on defense, but when you guys get into 11-on-11s and you see Devontae Adams and Darren Waller and Derek Carr and on and on and on, what are your thoughts on that offense and how explosive it can be, and just the importance of you guys getting them the ball back as many times?
Yeah, all those guys that you just named, those guys are hard workers. And as big as their names are, it doesn't come without the work. Those guys work every day. And even from my perspective, I don't want to talk about too much of what the offense is doing, but those guys are working. And like I said, I admire the work that they're putting in. Derek, Devontae, all those guys. Darren, those guys are working really hard. And like I said, we're going to keep working.
You talked about your anxiousness, even as an 11-year vet. When you came here, were there things on your mind that they were immediately put to rest, that you're pleasantly surprised and your mind's at ease? What sort of you're like, oh, whoa, this is cool? Aside from familiarity with the coaches.
Just that whole, not that it's ever at ease, but that kind of first day of school thing that you go through. It's new players, it's new teammates. That's kind of chilled out now. Obviously, that goes with just being around the guys. But for sure, my first day at OTAs, first day around the guys, you don't want to do or say the wrong things. And we got a lot of rules in our locker room that, you can't step on the, I'm not sure what I'm supposed to say, but you can't really step on the Raiders symbol. I mean, you have to do some push-ups or something. So there's a lot of things that you don't want to do. You don't want to do the wrong thing. So just trying to get acclimated with everyone. That's all.
Chandler, you were very open about being a family man and the importance of your family. How is your family adapting to Vegas?
Oh, they're enjoying it, honestly. Each and every day, I mean, it's pretty much the same routine. But my family's all from New York, so it's quite the hike. But there's now flights coming straight from New York to Vegas now, so that'll be fun. A lot different from Binghamton.
Do the brothers still compete with everything?
Oh yeah, even whenever we get together, we're sitting there sparring, or we might be competing. Who could either? Always. That's always a thing. Every holiday, whenever we get a chance to be around each other.
Chandler, after 107.5 sacks, I guess, and now you're in your 11th year, how often do you actually do a self-check and see how much is left in the gas tank and how much is left in the gas tank right now?
I don't really do a self-check, and I don't have a magic ball to sit here and tell you Chandler's going to play this many X many more years or this many, how much is in the tank. it'll be unfair for me to sit here and tell you, oh, I could do this and can't do that. I feel great, and I'm excited to play this season, and we'll move forward from there.
Are your sparring sessions tougher now that John has a heavyweight body?
No, not at all. And I don't just spar with John. I spar with a lot of different guys, but he's definitely bigger, and his arms are a lot longer than mine. So, yeah, that's a thing.
Well said, guys. Good. Thank you.
We're good.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate you.
Going to a new defensive coordinator, new defensive system, is it a subtle change from last year or a pretty dramatic change from what you guys were doing last year?
I think it's a mix between subtle and a big change, because anytime you play at this level, it's just different. It's just different parts. It's different moving parts. You know, same things, but just different moving parts. So we gotta be able to adjust all the players.
This time last year, you were kind of a wide-eyed rookie doing this for the first time. Now you're a veteran that had a good rookie season. How different does it feel this time of year, this year compared to last year?
It definitely feels a little different. I got a little bit more experience, but I just feel like, honestly, for me, it's the same dynamic because we got new staff, new players, and obviously a new defense. So I'm trying to prove myself again as we all are out there. So I just try to take the same approach and hit it running and go hard every day.
You talked about the new defense overall. What about you specifically? Are they asking you to do different things? Where do you see your role being in this?
Right now I play DB. I play whatever the coaches want me to play. Honestly, I just feel like I gotta be that flex guy. I could do whatever they ask me to. So that's where my mind is.
I guess along that, I mean, do you see yourself playing outside more this year then?
I see myself playing wherever the coaches want me to play. Yes, sir.
Hey, for you personally, how much did playing at Illinois under Lovie Smith and having that NFL system that he runs, how much did that help you kind of adjust to these different systems that you go through in the NFL?
I think it definitely prepared me for the NFL because I had an NFL head coach that come down to college, so all the terminology, all the coverages I learned in depth. And just picking his brain, and I got a lot of wisdom from that, so it definitely makes it easier at this level because I've seen a lot of it before.
Nate, Sam Gordon, Las Vegas Review-Journal. What was you have a favorite moment from your rookie season? Is there a moment or a memory that jumps out about last year?
Dang, that's a good question. It's a lot. I think really practice every day and grinding, as a rookie. The season's never that long, so it's a grind, just grinding, getting that bond with your teammates and the players that you play with. So that was the highlight of my year, just bonding every day and coming to work and going hard.
It's a pretty young cornerback room this year, losing Casey Hayward, the veteran that's moved on. What's the dynamic like in that room right now?
I think honestly it's just as competitive. I got the amazing opportunity to play with last year with Casey Hayward, guys like Casey Hayward, Brandon Faison, a lot of good players. And I think same dynamic. We just brought in a lot of guys who could play. We don't got a true star in the DB room, but everybody could play. It's gonna be a battle at every position. So.
Kind of coming off of that question, you and Trayvon played a lot of snaps, a lot of games for rookies. How much confidence does that give you two, just as being in the backfield, being those two rookies that play so much, to really kind of make this DB room yours going into this next year?
Experience definitely breeds confidence. So, once, as a rookie, you got that first-hand experience out the way. That was your first year. So coming back the second year, you just start noticing little things, small details that take your game to that next level. So I just feel like me, Trey, and even a couple other guys like TG, who was a rookie last year, Malcolm, Diablo, we all got, a keen eye, better eye on us.
Was there any big lesson that you learned last year that now heading into this year, going forward, you can build off of or work on? Never change your attitude. Come to work with the same attitude every day, and I feel like it's gonna pay off on Sundays.
Do you find yourself looking at the AFC West now, even in June, and being challenged and wanting to show that a defense can stand out even with all the superpower offenses out there?
I feel like honestly it's the same because it was like this last year. You know, we got more people in our division now, like Russell Wilson, all those guys, but it's the competition level is the same. It's always gonna be highly competitive. So we gonna approach it that way.
You probably say that about your own team because
Yeah.
you guys are lining up against Hunter Renfrow and Devontae Adams,
Yes.
Aaron Waller. How does that help you guys? Especially-
Man, I think that gives us as a defense, like one of the best looks, like prepare us for almost anybody, if not, anybody. So I really appreciate the guys on the other side. They get me better every day. Devontae, Hunter, Darren, Derek.
When you see route runners like that, there's some precision route runners in Devontae and Hunter and those guys. How does that help you in terms of what you're looking for from wide receivers?
Yeah, it really don't get much better than Hunter Renfrow on the inside, Devontae Adams on the outside, and Darren Waller at the flex wise. So when you do, when we do fit the routes up, correctly, or you do get that work every day, that competition every day, it just makes it that much easier and gives you confidence when you can do it against those guys. Going into a game.
William Paul. Nate, Willie Ramirez with the Associated Press. If I could piggyback off Cassie's question, just a lot of things took place last season with the entire team, a lot of people. For you specifically, without getting into mentally stronger, mental lessons, how are you stronger this season based off what you had to deal with coming in with sort of a clear, focused mind?
I feel like, honestly, my whole life I've been dealing with things. It's just like I feel like life is a test. Like throughout, your life never gonna stay good and it's never gonna stay bad. It's always a test, and you gotta stay level-headed, no matter if it's good or if it's bad. I feel like it's never as bad as you think, never as good as you think. So stay level-headed in the midst of everything, and stay disciplined. Keep your spirit up. I feel like everything gonna work itself out. And then relying on God, Lord, Jesus Christ. That's what I tend to rely on.
Nate, you've been a pro now for almost a year. Well, since you've been drafted, been more than a year, and you've already gone through 3 head coaches. How different is the vibe with Josh McDaniels, from Rich Bisaccia to John Gruden?
They are 3 different people. You know what I'm saying? But I'm used to that. Honestly, coming from college background, I have experience with different coaches. So honestly, you just gotta, as a player, you gotta be able to adjust and do what your coach wants you to do and buy into what he's doing. I think the whole team is buying in to what Coach McDaniels is doing, and I think we just keep doing that. We're gonna be a very good team. I feel like.
Great, thank you guys. Thanks, Nate.
Thank you.
Thanks, Nate.
Hunter, Devontae was very complimentary of you, and I'm just curious how are you and him melding in your route running, and how much does he make you better like you make him better?
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun competing with him on the golf course for sure. We have a little bet that he's not going to beat me the rest of the summer, so I got to, do that. But just the friendship that we've developed, I've really enjoyed getting to know him, and he's been so good for so long. So just to see him every day, the way he works, whether he feels good or not, it's kind of uncommon from a superstar, to be honest with you. Someone that, it doesn't matter how he feels or if he's having a good day or bad day, he goes out there and he puts the same work in, and he's just very, very consistent. And so that's really what I've taken him, his consistency, but also he's so explosive at the top of routes. The way he sees the game, the way he sees how the defense is trying to attack him. And so, just trying to learn as much as I can from him.
You use the word superstar, and I don't think that's an exaggeration for a guy like that. But did you have any sometimes, the superstar comes with some other things as well.
Yeah.
Did you have any preconceived ideas of what he was all about, and has any of that changed? Or?
No, it's been awesome. He really has been incredible to get to know. Derek had played with him in college, and really for the last 3 or 4 years has been talking about him and talking. It was funny. I didn't even know who he was. I remember throwing for the very first time in Oakland with Derek, and I love college football, and so I watch college all the time. I didn't watch the NFL, and he was telling me a story about this guy named Devontae, and I was like, who is that? Because I didn't know, and it's just funny how that's kind of was my first memory of him, and just since then being able to watch him on film and watch him, the player he is, and it's been cool, because like I said, Derek had told us about him, but he's surpassed expectations for sure.
You're known as one of the great route runners in the NFL, even this early in your career. But when you watch tape of him and you see the precision that he goes about being a wide receiver and getting off the line of scrimmage,
Yeah.
what are you thinking about when you watch that?
He's so creative, and I alluded to earlier, he's so explosive. I think that's when he puts his foot in the ground, it's tough to deal with him. And he's got a great imagination. He knows, what the defense is trying to do to take him away, and so he'll counter that with certain things. And it doesn't matter if he's double or triple teamed, he'll get open a lot of times. And so it's been fun just to be with him.
How close is he to beating you?
In golf?
Yeah.
I think we came. It was pretty good. I beat him by a pretty good margin the first time. I think we're on our 5th match. So the first 3 of the times I beat him pretty good, and then one time he was up 1 and going into the last hole, and I think I birdied and he bogeyed. So I don't know. It's been a lot of fun.
You're gonna tell him no more golf this off season. That's done.
Yeah. I needed. Yeah, I got the belt. I need to just shut it down right now.
I know you've been a couple of years now in the league, so you kind of have probably your routine of where you are at each point in the off season. Like, what at this point in the off season, what is it that you're working on?
A lot. I think just this is the first time in 4 years we've had a new offense, right? And so there's just a lot of verbiage, a lot of processing what we're trying to accomplish on offense. I think Coach McDaniels, Coach Lombardi, and EB, and just all the offensive staff has come in and done a good job of we're not just going to run plays for no reason. We're going to have a good idea why we're running those plays. We're going to do it to attack the defense, what they're trying to take away from us. And so, it's one, getting used to them. And 2, this is part of the offseason where you start visualizing the season. And, you're not out there just running plays to run them. You're running plays because you're going to have a, we're installing an offense, but we're also, for me personally, I'm visualizing how I'm running that, in Kansas City or in wherever we got to play, and trying to play those games within my mind.
Hunter, Josh McDaniels has a reputation and a history of coaching some prolific slot receivers. Just whether it's from studying film or just what you've experienced so far, what do you think it is about his system that allows slot receivers to be so effective? How can it help your game?
Well, one, they're really good players. I think, with Wes and Julian Jacoby, it's been really a lot of fun to watch Jacoby the last 2 years for them. He's been explosive. He's been really good. I think Coach McDaniels is just very good at teaching the details of it, and those guys did a good job. I mean, it's a lot of work, and he puts a lot on them, but I think it can be rewarding if you buy into what he has to say. And, they've had some good receivers in the past, and so, some of it is just being where you need to be and being consistent.
So much was made of the culture last year of the locker room. How, with so many new players coming onto this roster this year, how do the players group make sure that culture transfers over with the new guys as you get going towards the season?
Yeah, it is. We have a whole lot of new guys, don't we? It's weird seeing, I don't know the exact numbers, but maybe 50 new guys or something like that. But honestly, I thought we had a pretty good culture last year, but we didn't get the ultimate goal of winning the Super Bowl, and so. Whatever we got to do to change that, we just have to go out there and, be better and work together and really develop that chemistry. They've brought in a lot of really good guys and a lot of guys that know what it's like to work hard, and that's all you can ask for, in a teammate.
And off the back end of that, you're now the longest tenured receiver that's in the room for this team. With that being said, do you feel more of a leadership role? Do you feel like the student is now becoming more of the teacher in the locker room with yourself?
I haven't really thought about it, to be honest with you. We're so deep into installing an offense that I really have not thought about that a single time. That's the difference between college and then the NFL. NFL, you just have so many new faces from year to year. In college, you come in with the recruiting class, you have 4 or 5 guys, you're with them your whole career. And in the NFL, it's like, it's a new team every year. And that's the beauty of it if you have a bad year. And then it's the beauty of it if you have a good year. And so that's why the NFL is so fun.
Hunter, Josh is a prolific teacher. He likes to teach you guys the why, which is a little different. I don't know if you got that from Dabo or not, but it hasn't been the process here. How are you enjoying Josh's teaching style?
Yeah, you nailed on that. I've loved it. I love Coach Sweeney, and at Clemson, they're very process and detail oriented. I would say that was the biggest thing that I've taken from that place. And then Coach McDaniels and then their staff is the exact same way, and I've appreciated it. And sometimes I can get kind of a little too creative at times. So they're doing a good job of just, this is why we're doing it, and we got to stay within the framework and the parameters that we put in place. And so I've loved kind of being a little more process driven, detailed.
We'll call more Cassie and John.
You were named to your first Pro Bowl this year. What was that experience like, and how do you build off of that coming into this next season?
It was cool. Yeah, it was cool kind of getting to play with a lot of players that I grew up watching. And I got to see on film over these last 3 or 4 years. And that's a huge honor, right, to be voted on for something like that. So I don't know. I'm not a very big individual guy. So I think it was cool, and it was a huge honor, but that's not my goal for this year. My goal is to have the best season we can.
All right, everybody out there in the real world can relate to a new job, new expectations, new boss. As a Raider, what's it like to have all that just thrown at you?
Yeah, it kind of reminds you of why you do it in the first place, right? There's so many new changes in any job. You go to a new work environment, and you go and you have all these changes and all these things thrown at you. You kind of get back to why you do things, and you do it for the love of it. You do it, certainly to help out the people around you. And I think it at the end of the day, when you put your head on the pillow, you kind of lose track of all that, and you just reminded of, you're just very thankful of coming to work every day and being able to play a game we love.
Last 2, Paul and Adam.
Hunter, you're obviously coming off a 103 catch season. 2 years ago, Darren had 107. Devontae's had more than 111 3 of the past 4 years. Is it too soon to look at it and say, well, how do you share the wealth going forward in a season, or how do you guys kind of jive and wrap your minds around that much success, but you got to share the wealth as well?
Yeah, I've certainly know Darren really well, and I'm starting to know Devontae pretty well, and so two very, very unselfish guys that I think would say they put the team before themselves. And so, that's got to be a focus for all of us, that, team success is far superior than individual success. And, it doesn't matter if we have 50 catches this season apiece. As long as we're winning, that's the ultimate goal. That's all that matters. And I think if we have that mentality, then it's pretty easy to go and do.
As somebody who works your whole life to get to a certain level, and now you're at that level. You talk about going to the Pro Bowl, all the success you've had. How do you continue to, I guess, set further expectations? And if that chip on your shoulder is kind of gone, I don't mean you specifically, any athlete.
Absolutely.
How do you continue to drive? I've made it.
Yeah, anybody top their profession. I think it comes back to, do you do it for others people's praises? Do you do it for, the accolades, or you do it because you compete with yourself and you love to do it, and you do it to help the people around you? And I think if we can say yes to those 3 things, then it's pretty easy to not become complacent, because every day you're trying to get better. You're competing with yourself, and you enjoy competing with other people, but you also compete with yourself. And so I know that's probably a cliche answer, but sometimes cliche answers are the most sensible ones and the most simple. And, it's easy to get distracted by a lot of things, but you just keep things simple, then, I think success finds you along the way.
Great.
Thank you.
Thanks, Hunter. Thanks, Hunter. That's it for today.